The Complete Natural Food Retailer's Workshop with Danny Wells, tape number 3. If you see somebody in your store, pilfering merchandise, actually see them, even prosecuting that is difficult, believe it or not, today. It is difficult to do that. The law stands in favor of the crook on that.
You ever given feedback about the effect of the atmosphere in the store when you can't just go up? I know a lot of customers are there because they like the friendly atmosphere, they feel it's the camera.
Good question. Now, the video cameras we put up were not conspicuous at all. In fact, most customers didn't even know we had them because we didn't have a consumer problem. The reason I put them up is that we had an internal problem with an employee. And so the camera is about this big around, very small, mounted up in the corner. You don't even know they're there. In fact, they're much less conspicuous than those big bubble mirrors that, you come in and you just, look at all these things around there and everybody looks like they're in a zoo or something, or a circus. Much less conspicuous than those because the cameras are very small. And if you want them to be conspicuous, you can. You can hang big signs on them. There are some stores in New York where they want to be conspicuous. The shoplifters will be prosecuted. The sign is huge, and then there's a big arrow pointing to the camera. And smile. And so, you may really want to get that out there. But sure, at our store, we didn't want to make a real big statement. We wanted our employees to know it was there. And that if somebody's having to look up and see a little camera, okay, that's okay. But I'll tell you, for us in the back room in the office to be able to sit there and I could switch through and I could see what was actually going on in my store, it was a very good way of keeping control of what's happening out on the floor. I can see if we need some more people on the floor. I got 2 or 3 people marking in the back room and see, gosh, looks really busy. Why don't you get out there, John, and give these people a hand because there's more people in the store. So I used it for kind of overall surveillance of what was going on, not as much as security, except for those cash registers. It really made a big difference in the stores. It depends. I think if the question was, is it easier to start up with that type of system now if you're putting the store right in? I think if I am going to start a smaller store where there's going to be just a couple employees and I'm going to be there most of the time on site as an owner, I probably wouldn't think of starting with that. But if I've got a mid-size or a large store, I would not hesitate to put in the cameras immediately because they're so they're so reasonable now. For $500, as I said, a couple cameras and a TV monitor. I would put them in at that level. That's for sure.
The biggest problem with employee theft is dealing at the register or taking the product?
Okay, good question. And is the problem with inventory theft or dollars theft? And I have to say that there's probably more of a problem with product theft generally throughout the industry than there is the dollar theft out of the cash register drawer. But your itemized tapes on your cash registers, if you are not on site a lot, you should know that it is all your cashiers should know that it is a policy that you will randomly check the cash register tapes for voids, and you should have an acceptable level of voids. There shouldn't be that many times when they should be able to void out something. In fact, a lot of places you have to go to a manager to void something out. But the way that they do it is they add everything up, and it says that'll be $20, but they don't total it out. It's a subtotal. The person gives them $20, and they hit the void 20. And it voids it out, and the customer gives them the 20, and it's like the transaction's completed, and they haven't given the receipt because it's all listed. Unless you see the little BD on the side, you think it's a regular cash register tape. Not realizing it's been voided out. But your detail tape that's in the permanent record will list the amount of voids. And that's how we found this one guy, how he took $50,000 in 8 months. Went back and looked at it and suggested they look at all their detail tapes. And it was his register. Void, 20 of them a day. So, but that's not as common as food. Definitely food is more. There's no doubt about it. I do a lot of traveling, and as a result, I'm in airports a lot. And I was in an airport not too long ago, and I go up to the ticket counter, and I'm about to check in there at the gate, and they said, the plane's going to be a little delayed. Please have a seat, and we'll let you know when it's going to take off. Okay, so I go and take a seat. The woman right back of me, and she went up and they told her the same thing, and she was visibly upset. I have to get on. I've got to get there. I've got an appointment meeting. Well, ma'am, the plane's going to take off when it takes off. Just have a seat. So she goes over and buys a magazine and one little stands with a little bag of cookies. So she comes over and sits down across from me, and she's reading her magazine, and in between her is an empty seat, and there's a little boy that's sitting in the seat adjacent to her. And so she's reading, and she reaches down as a bag of cookies in the seat between the two, and she takes her cookie and she's eating it there, and she looks over, and the little boy reaches into the bag, and he takes the cookie out, and he starts eating it. She a little more forcefully goes in and takes the cookie and eats it, and the little boy kind of goes in, and he took the cookie and ate it. This went back and forth between the two until there was one cookie left in that bag. And the little boy looked up at her, and he took the cookie out and broke it in half, gave her half. He took the other half, And by the time they call for the plane, and so she goes up in the jetway, and she's standing right in front of me, and they ask for her ticket, and she goes in her purse to get her ticket, and there is her unopened bag of cookies in her purse. See, you need to know your inventory. You need to know whether those are your cookies or the little boy's cookies that are in the seat alongside you. And what happens with our inventory, a lot of us don't know where our cookies are or if our cookies are selling. And so as a result, we're not making the money we can. This is an extremely important session. In fact, in the workshop, we cover things based on priorities, meaning the most important thing you can do is to get your register set up, your finances set up so that you know whether you're making or losing money. Because we can't tell anything if those numbers aren't there. So if your financials aren't ready, if your profit loss statements aren't generated each month, then do that first. Then the second most important thing you can do is to learn how to control your inventory properly, because this is where we make money in the industry. Now, why 12 times a year? Is this my favorite number? No. 12 times a year for a reason. Let's first find out what an inventory turn is, for those of us that don't know what an inventory turn is. An inventory turn, the way you determine it is you take your sales, annual sales, and you divide that by your retail level of inventory. For instance, if your sales each year were $500,000, I'm sorry, 50,000. Let's try $500,000, and your retail value of your inventory was $50,000. That means you'd be turning your inventory 10 times a year. Your total sales were $500,000. Your retail value of the inventory is $50,000. You turn your inventory 10 times a year. Now, everybody should be able to, maybe in your own head, figure out what it is in your store. If you know approximately what your annual sales are, you could write that down. And if you know what your retail value of your inventory is. Now, many of us don't have this number because our balance sheet each month tells us what our wholesale value of inventory is. When we get our balance sheet that lists, and a balance sheet will list all of your assets, and it'll say cash, and it'll say furniture and fixtures, and it'll say inventory, it'll list the wholesale level of inventory. And so what you wind up doing is taking your wholesale level times your gross profit margin factor, and in fact, if you've got a 33% gross margin, then essentially if you had, say, $40,000 in wholesale merchandise, you take that times your gross profit margin factor, which is basically times 1.5, that means you get $60,000 in retail. As an overall averaging number, if you want to make it real quick, just take your wholesale inventory times 1.5. If you're a vitamin-oriented store, sell more vitamins, take your wholesale inventory times 1.67. That's a real quick way, because all we're looking for is general numbers here. It doesn't have to be to the penny. So if you take your wholesale times 1.5, if you're a vitamin-oriented store times 1.67, that'll give you your retail level, then you can figure it out. Now, we figured this out each month. And the way we figured it out is that we would take our monthly sales, we'll go up here to this. So you take your monthly sales times 12 to annualize it. So if we were doing $50,000 in a month times 12, that means we're doing $600,000 annualized for that time. You don't have to wait till the end of the year to figure it out. You can figure it out each month because you annualize those month's sales. Or if you want to annualize a quarter, some people do that. They'll take January, February, and March, that quarter, and take it times 4, meaning you've got, so you take it times 4 to get your annualized figure. And then you're going to divide that by your wholesale times 1.5. And if it came out, say, to $60,000, then that would be a 10 turn for an inventory. Now, why 12 turns? Why do we want to turn 12 times a year? Every month, like clockwork, you have overhead costs. Fixed overhead costs. When you're in business, whether you sell $100 worth a month or $10,000 a month, you have fixed overhead costs. Meaning that if you have a product, let's say a product costs you $1, and you sell it for, if it's a food item, then you're going to, the cost on this, let's run it a different way. Sales price of a product. For every dollar sales price, your cost on that is approximately 66 cents. And so your gross profit margin on that would be 33 cents or 33%. Now this is an average. If you got a vitamin-oriented store, you might be a few points higher than this. But say your gross profit margin is 33% or 33 cents on each dollar. Your overhead costs, your fixed overhead cost, as an industry average, runs between 25 and 30% of sales. So 25 to 30 cents out of each dollar goes for fixed overhead costs, meaning every month, at the beginning of the month, you have to pay rent. Every month. You've got to pay your utilities. You've got your phone to pay. You have wages to pay. You have insurance to pay. These are all fixed overhead costs that every month, the first of the month, you write these checks, just like clockwork. And these all amount to, your fixed overhead cost, about 25 cents of every dollar. And so what happens is you wind up with about an 8% gross profit margin on your grocery items. This would be a grocery type of an item. If it's a vitamin item, you're gonna wind up making this 60 and this 40, and this is going to come out to be about 15%. So this gives you a general idea of what happens on a monthly basis. Now what happens if you buy this, every product you buy and you put in your store, I want you to think of your store as, there's a diagram of your store, and think of it as a grid with thousands of lines on it. And every individual square line here, every little box, represents a product that you purchased. Essentially, every product that you have purchased is paying rent for that square foot or that square inch of space. Every product is assigned a box, and it should pay its fair share of the rent every month. Now, if you buy a product and it sits on the shelf for 60 days, what's happened, it should have paid its fair share of the rent within 30 days, but it didn't. So it's been there for 60 days, it hasn't paid its fair share of the rent. If it's been there for 90 days, it should have really paid its rent in 90 days 3 times now. We should have had this thing giving us 25 cents on the dollar each time it should have generated that profit. And if it sat there for 90 days, then we haven't actually made money yet on this product. We're losing money. Another product has had to been sold much faster to pay for its fair share of the rent. So why 12 turns a year? Meaning once every 30 days, you should be able to turn your inventory so that everything, as an average, is paying its fair share of the rent. Now, the way that we do this doesn't mean that you're going to have to sell every product in your store within 30 days. Because you do have the higher the perishability, the faster something sells. For instance, if you have produce in your store, you're going to usually turn the produce 100 times a year. Twice a week. If you've got a good produce section, you should be turning it twice a week. So you're going to turn 100 times a year on produce. Your dairy section usually turns 52 times a year, or once a week. If you've got a good dairy section, you're turning that over, because stuff's dated. You get it in fresh every week, you're going to turn it like that. A grocery section, you may turn that 12 times a year. Health and body aids and stuff like that, you might turn 6 times a year. And vitamins, you might turn 6 times a year. You average this all out, and you come out with seek for a goal of a minimum of 12. Now, if you're a larger store and you have more perishables, then your turn rate may be 18, 19, 20, 22 times a year. That would be fine. Where we get into problems is the bulk of our smaller stores wind up having inventory turns of 5 and 6 times a year, and we've got products sitting on the shelf that aren't paying its fair share of the rent. So what do we do about that? There is an inventory control formula that we have used in our store that we share with our clients, and we're going to share with you, to how to eliminate slow sellers, how to make sure you are going to be turning your inventory 12 times a year. And we're going to take a break and share that with you at 10 minutes after 3. So go get a glass of water, jump around, get the blood moving, and we'll see you at 10 minutes after 3. I also want to acknowledge you for getting through the first couple hours. The first 2 hours is the harder. There's a lot that's thrown out. It's hard to absorb, I know, and sometimes it can be difficult to follow. And it kind of gets easier and a little lighter as we go on. So I want to acknowledge you for hanging in here with me on this. The inventory control formula, and this is one area where it may have you look at your own procedure a little bit differently. But to be able to turn your inventory 12 times a year, this is how we do it. For one, we encourage smaller frequent orders rather than larger infrequent orders as a rule. order what you can sell in an ordering cycle. Now, we have what we call the 80-20 rule, and maybe some of you are familiar with this, and that is that 80% of your sales generally come from 20% of your products. And when we have an inventory control problem, which a lot of us do, because we're not turning our inventory 12 or 13 or 14 times a year, we're turning it 4 or 5 or 6 times a year, it isn't usually with this 20% of our fast-selling items. This is not the problem. It's this other 80% of our stock that's giving us the problem. And so for this other 80% of the stock, this becomes extremely important to follow. Small frequent orders, ordering what you can sell in an ordering cycle. Now what does that mean? Okay, say we're going to be ordering from our major distributor, and you're from all parts of the country, so you may be dealing with a Nature's Best or a Tree of Life or a Cornucopia or Stowe or any, but your major distributor that you've got, and say you were to place an order on Monday, when would you have that order received? Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday? Okay, different days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. If you were to, and let's just take Wednesday as a midpoint there. If you're ordering on Monday and you get it in on Wednesday, because you can figure out your own ordering cycle because I'll give you the formula. You order Monday, you get it in Wednesday. When's the next time we're going to order again from them? Well, you order every week, right? So the next time you're going to get it in is the following Wednesday. So this is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. 2 days here plus 7 is, your ordering cycle is 9 days on that. If you get an order in, if you order Monday and get it in Tuesday, then your ordering cycle is 8 days. And some of the larger volume stores here might order twice a week from your supplier like we did. Meaning we ordered Monday, got it in Tuesday, and then we ordered again on Thursday and got it in Friday. And so our order cycle basically was 5 days. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 days on this. But for many of us, you order once a week, your order cycle is 8 or 9 days. Of the other 80% of products that aren't our big sellers, you only order what you sell in an ordering cycle. And here's where we get into problems, is because we have these imaginary numbers we order from. For some reason, we only orders in 3s, 6s, or 12s. Now, I don't know where that came from. I don't know where that slide came from either. But, that's 3, 6s, or 12. Order 3, 6, or 12. We come down and we see one on the shelf, oh, order 3 or order 6. Just automatically. Without thinking of how long does it take me to sell the product. Now, we have to think, if I'm ordering right now and I'm going to get it in on Wednesday and I can get some more in on Wednesday, we should be thinking, how much of this product am I going to sell in 9 days? And many times, when there are smaller to medium-sized stores, especially in vitamins, keeping 1 or 2 on the shelf is all we need. We don't need 3s, 6s, and 9 deep. Because trends change and people's buying patterns change, and we might not need to order 1 or 2, but we for some reason ordered 6. And instead of just ordering the 1 or 2 and having the extra cash to buy other products, we have all this product sitting on the shelf that's not selling. So for that other 80%, it takes an actual thought in the mind, how much of this am I going to sell? Now we'll show you, because you can't think of it in every product, how you'll find that out. One goal too, especially for smaller stores, should be little or no backroom stock. So your backroom should be your distributor. That's what a distributor is for. The product should be there until you need to sell it, and then you bring it into your store. And too many of us have way too much merchandise, not only on our shelves, but in our back rooms. When we get into the slideshow presentation, at the last hour, we go over about 150 slides of showing you how all this stuff is put together. I'm going to show you a picture of our back room. This is a store that is doing $1.5 million, and we can fit our back room stock on this table. Now, we order on Monday, get it in Tuesday. We also order Thursday and get it in Friday. So we get a twice-a-week delivery from our major distributor, so that helps. But the overall trend is you can wind up getting better sales, higher level of sales with less merchandise if you follow these rules. Date all products. Every product that comes in your store must be dated. It's the only way you can find out what products are selling and which ones are not selling. The only way to find out what your customers want, to give them more of that, and to find out what they don't want and give them less of that, is to date every product. Yes, date your champion juicers. Yes, date your books. You'll find out that the books department is the slowest selling department in this industry. Most of us carry way too many books. Most of us carry too many appliances because they're not selling, they're not checking the dates on that. Come into some store and say, well, we got to carry all 6 colors of the champion juicers. Why? You only sell the almond. Why carry the turquoise and the brown? Why? Someone, you can order it, you can get it in, but why keep it in your shelf and just buy it and have that inventory tied up for 1 or 2 or 3 years for the one person who comes in and says, yes, I'd like that turquoise one I've seen sitting there in the window for 3 years, which now looks a little blue. There was a question, hand up, yes, sir.
If you're using sheets for ordering where you know what you're ordering twice a week, in your case, you have a sheet that shows maybe a couple months, do you still want to date things?
Oh yeah, you still want to date things.
You can see how things are selling from the sheets.
Sure do. You want to date stuff. Now, there's a couple reasons for dating. Because when you get going here and we suggest, do you use computers for ordering?
No.
Okay. Because we suggest using for computers for ordering, which is going to save so much time that you throw your sheets away. You don't need sheets. See, we spend too much time ordering in this industry because we've created all these order sheets and catalogs. In our store, you walk through with a handheld computer and you're able to go through and just punch in the item number or wand it, and you're looking at the date to find out, okay, the date will tell me when I ordered, and when we get into showing the date code, let me go through me in a while and explain and show you how this works of why we want the date on the product. So you date the product, you date everything. Then you check your date before ordering. If it's older than 90 days, if it's been in your store for 3 months and hasn't paid its fair share of the rent, then it becomes a special order item. Extremely important for vitamins, for supplements, for cosmetics, body care items, it becomes a special order item. We have in this industry available to us 25,000 products. And the average store can carry anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000 to 5,000 of them. But the beauty is you have access to all 25,000 of them through special ordering. And we can no longer afford to keep the products in stock that we used to. I mean, some of us are carrying, like 12 brands of laxatives. Because the one little lady comes in and wants that one brand, once every 90 tablets, once every, 180 days or something, or whatever it is. And so the product, is if it's not, for lack of a better word, moving properly for you, then you need to get it off your shelves. So the date will tell you that. Take a physical inventory at least once a year, physically. And some people, they don't take a physical inventory. They estimate what it is. That's a good number. 38,000. Put that down for tax purposes. No, you take a physical inventory at least once a year. Then again, if you're doing 500,000 or more twice a year, and if you're a real big store, then I would go ahead and do it 4 times a year. Use shelf tags. We would definitely recommend you're using shelf tags and ordering with a computer. Because if you get your shelf tags up there, and that way every product has a home, your distributors will come in and do this for you for free. They'll come in and tag your store for free. And that way, when you come through, you can either wand it with a computer or you can punch in the item code. If you don't like to use the wand and stuff, you just punch in the 3 code and you're looking at your date and saying, okay, this is how long it's been in the store, this is what I want to order. Because very simple. It can even become simpler if you want to use, and then again, I'm not tied into any one distributor at all. I just happen to have their sticker here for Nature's Best. Their price sticker program, which even makes it even easier, because then they will generate for you a price sticker with your name on it and the date code, the item number, and the price. And if it happens to get put in the wrong price, or you don't have place, or you don't happen to get a particular if you don't happen to have one of the shelf tags available, then you can get the order number right off the bottom. It also makes putting away the order much easier. We don't even use an invoice, and we put away an order from our major distributor because all the shelf tags are printed right off the invoice. So we just take the products out, take the stickers, and put them right on the box. And when you're done, if you have any stickers left over, you're short of those items. And if you wind up pulling out 3 stickers for Hanes Sapphire Oil and you've got 3 bottles of Cascadian Farm Apple Juice, you got sent the wrong product. So it's not going through and looking to find any product or checking them off. We use the price stickers to totally price everything. Because the price sticker program from a distributor, they will automatically print them out for you and they'll put them in the appropriate box. A lot of them will have it right in the tote that you open has the price stickers right in it. So it's not having to hunt and adjust your pricer, you just put the stickers right on. It works very well for eaches. Now when you get into case items, sometimes it's quicker to use a marker with case items, but we even use a lot of times the price stickers on case items because they're printed for us and they've got the item number on it for ordering. Now the date code, some people get really involved in these date codes, and I don't really care that much about, you can use any code that you want. This is the one that we used in our store, and we call it the KISS code, which is Keep It Simple Stupid, so that anybody and everybody could identify it. Because the purpose of a date code is so that anybody who orders in your store will know how long a product has been on the shelf. And you have to know that instantaneously. I've been in stores that have like 19 digits, and you pick up a bottle, and I'll go to the employee and say, how long has this product been on the shelf? And they'll go through, well, let's see here. And they'll look at this thing for a while, take off their shoes, start counting on their toes. Oh, they get a calculator now. First number, let's see, that's a distributor I got it from. Second number, that's my wife's birthday. Let's see, that third number is the person who marked it. The fourth number is the, and they go through all this stuff. All we really need to know is the date. This is the one we used. The first was the year. This for us would be 1989. Right now, that would be a 1, meaning in 1991 it came in the store. The last two digits was the month, 01, 02, 03, 04, because if we were close enough to 30 days, that's all we worried about. This came in April of 89. So if I'm coming in 1990 and I see a 9, hey, something's been in my store since April of 1990, I'm not going to be worrying that for sure. Now the third number here is anything you want. I really don't care what you put in there, but a lot of stores, and what we put in there was the quantity we ordered. So I could say, okay, I ordered 3 of them in April of 89. And so when I come down to order, I got 1 left. Am I going to order 3, 6, 12? No, I'm going to figure it out. Okay, here it is September. I ordered 3 in April. May, June, August. That's 5 months. That means I'm selling about 1 every month and a half. I only really need to keep 1 on the shelf. I'm not going to order it. 1 on the shelf is sufficient. But too many times we see 1 and we order 6, not even thinking that this product's been sitting on that shelf for 4 or 5 months. Now you don't have to use this code if you want. I mean, you can use any code you want, but make sure it's an easy code that you can immediately identify it. And if you do have one like this where you can put the amount you ordered, then you've got all the information right in front of you. Now for the companies you can't order, yes.
Look at the AYW again. How come what's the 637? How come you're doing the process, the date, like day, month, year?
Okay. For one thing, a date code, you don't want, the idea is to get information that you can get out of it, but your employees, that your consumer can't. You're not going to put, this product came in January 1st, 1992, 1991, because they're going to dig through and try to find a fresher product. So the idea is to confuse them a little bit. These 2 numbers, 6 and 7 for us, are just bogus numbers. Pick any numbers you want. What are your favorite numbers of the day? Put those in. I don't really care for our store what those numbers are. If you want to use those for numbers like an employee identification number or a vendor identification number, you may do that. Some stores do. But I wanted to the only thing I was concerned about was making sure we knew when the product came in and how many came in. And that was essentially it.
Will a distributor with a price give you a market that you want, and then they can suggest a retail?
No, they will. Most all your major distributors that have a price sticker program have what you call variable pricing plans, which is what we use with our distributor. And we told them, because we had about 100 items that we wanted to mark lower, specifically lower. And when we get into variable pricing, we show you how that works. And you can tell them the markup you want on a specific product or a price you want on a specific product, and they will put that on there for you. We recommend you you use a markup, because as prices change, if you have a specific price, you got to check it all the time. But if you want a gross profit margin on some of your leading key items to be lowered to compete with other stores, then you can do that, and that's available. Yes?
Was this number with the Nature's Best company as far as for Jeff printing?
Okay, the number that, like on Nature's Best they use a different type of date code. They use a letter and a number.
So this would be your mass date order.
So, yeah, this particular one, we use this code for the ones we priced ourselves. Everything we priced on our own, that's the code we used. And if we used a major distributor, then we used the code, whatever code they used was the one that was used. But they might even be able to put their own custom date code on for you. I never even thought about that. They might have even been able to put this code on our custom label. I've never asked them. Learned something today. Could have done that.
You're talking about minimizing your purchasing order sizes, but how do you analyze that against the discount for bulk purchase?
Okay, good question. We're going to answer that. We're going to get talking into, the question was versus the discount. If somebody offers to sell you 12 at a better price, is it better to take the 12 than it is to take the 4 that you need? We're going to address that. There was a question over here. Okay, we covered that. Then for those distributors that you're not going to use a computer ordering with, and say you're going to order directly from the vitamin companies or cosmetic companies direct, this is just a suggestion, something we use in our store. For one, we didn't use a different order page every time. We wound up just taking the standard order page from the company, and we highlighted in yellow the items we covered from that particular company. And so when we ordered off the order sheet, not off the shelf, because a lot of times you go to the shelf and you might have sold out of something. You say, gosh, what did I sell out of? Because you're not going to have normally a shelf tag for a company you're buying direct. The only time you're going to get a shelf tag is from all your major distributor products. But from this company, we wouldn't. So by going to and ordering off the order sheet, that way we would eliminate having to worry about running out of product. We could tell exactly what we stock. And we would order in pencil, and we would keep track in pencil, and we could use the order 3 or 4 times, and we'd phone the order in and keep track of what we ordered that way, and then just erase it after we've gone 4 or 5 weeks worth of orders, just erase the first one and keep going back through that process. That way we could generate a little bit of a history like using an order card on an order sheet, but it also allowed us to use an existing order blank in case we wanted to put special orders in also. Now, there are 3 different dates that you're going to look for when you use this inventory control formula. When you get to a product and you find that it's been in your store 90 days, that becomes a special order item and you don't reorder it. You come through your store and you find a product that's been in your store 180 days. If it's been in the store for 6 months and hasn't paid its fair share of the rent, this is when you start to discount it. You start to mark it down, sample it, promote it. You want to get it out of the store. The 360 days, in 1 year, 12 months, if this product has sat there for 12 months and has not paid its fair share of the rent, don't fool yourself any longer on this. It's time to get rid of this old friend. This old friend. And too many of us want to hold on to these old friends, if they become a part of us. But this is the time you become a distributor. You give it away to a customer, you donate it to a nonprofit organization, you discard it, take it home, whatever it is. And this is a hard part for some people to do, that getting rid of those old products, because they become these old friends. But I'll tell you, I've had customers clients come back and say, they just went back and went through their whole store and removed everything that was older than a year. And the next day, customers came in and said, boy, look at all the new stuff you have. Because the perception was they kept looking at this old stuff in the store. They kept looking at this old stuff in the store. See, and you got to realize that customers are smart. They're really smart. They come into your store and they see that bottle of whatever it was there, and it wouldn't be a bottle of juice because that would sit around for a while, but you got that bottle, that 9th brand of laxative sitting there that wasn't moving properly. And they see that on the corner, I think I've seen that for a while, And they shop through next month, still there. They're coming down shopping 2 months later, still there. See, when you're running your own store, you throw products on the shelf and you're not really studying your shelves to buy like a consumer. But a consumer is looking at all the products on the shelves. By the end of the year, still there, a little faded, but still there. What happens is your store is only as fresh as your oldest product to the consumer. And this thing gets a little bit like a catch-22 situation. And personally, I don't believe in discount baskets in stores of our nature, because why do people come into natural food stores? Go back to the first overhead, fresh quality nutrition. Now, what does a discount basket say? Just the opposite. It says old, stale stuff. 50% off says, we don't want this product in our store any longer. Will you please take it off our hands for half price? That's really what it's saying to the consumer. But how many of us have this discount basket right up in front of the store? As soon as you walk into this health food store with fresh quality product, this discount basket of old, faded, dingy product. Think about it. Here's one over here thinking about it. I haven't seen your store either. But I can tell you there's going to be a discount basket that's going to leave her store as soon as she gets back to that store. How do we get rid of slow-selling items? You clean it up. If you found that after the 6-month time, this is assuming you've gone through that 360-day purge now. And that's painful now, folks. I know that first purge is going to be very painful when you take that shopping cart through your store and just start throwing in items that have been there for a long time. That red book that is now pink, it's going to go in there. The box and bottles have been there for a year, and you're just hoping that some tourist will come through and buy it. I know that they're going to buy that bottle, Bleacher Oil caps that I've had for 7 years. Get a clue, American Dietates has been out of business for 7 years. And then the customer's going to bring it back and say, I can't get these bottles, these capsules out. It's all stuck together in there, I don't know what's wrong. It's a good product, I thought. Hey, now I can turn it back to the distributor and get credit for it. That's not the way it works. You throw them out. Throw the products out. Get them off your shelves. Don't kid yourself. Well, the shelf life of a product and the selling life in your store are two different things. As I'm saying, if after 12 months your customers have told you they don't want that product, then you want to get it out of the store. If it's still an edible product, vitamins usually have 3-4 years on them at least, the shelf life. Some vitamins can last 7 years. If they're soft gel capsules, they'll last up to 7 years because they're really sealed that way. But some of your grocery items, I mean, like crackers, I mean, if I've had crackers in my store for a year, I mean, get a clue. You can open that up. You're going to smell something you've never smelled before. And so if it's a food item, that's why at the 6-month point, at the 180 days, if you can catch it then, you can start sampling out food. Because if somebody tastes something, maybe they'll buy it. If it doesn't taste good, then throw it out. I mean, forget it. Don't kid yourself. So yes, the sellable time when it's really good, and when your customers are saying they don't want it, can be a few months different. But you want to catch it before the expiration date. So what you do is you clean it up, you put a new price sticker on it, and you don't mark it down 50% because 50% says fire sale. It says I don't want this old product in my store. What we found, rather than discount baskets, is we will leave the product in line on the shelf, clean it up, put a new price tag on it, and mark it down like 30%, at the most 40%. Have a sign. Now, when you start doing this, like too many of us, especially in our vitamin section, I mean, like if you carry 9 brands of vitamins, you only have to have like 1 brand of B2 riboflavin. You don't sell out of B2, but how many of us have riboflavin in like 8 different brands? If you start dating your product, you're going to find your customers are going to want 1 brand of riboflavin, the rest of them are all going to be gone. So you can put a little sign on there, B2, regularly $5, on sale for $3. So when a customer comes in the store and says, I'd like some B2, then instead of going over your favorite brand, your private label or whatever you normally say, oh, I got one on sale today, that's this off. We would do that also with shampoos. I mean, we've got 30 shampoos in the stores, right? I've tried them all. They're all good. I know they are. Ask my kids. They've been using Orgean shampoo now for 10 years. It's a good shampoo. So a little sign on it, regularly. $5 on sale for, $3.99. Someone comes in and asks for a good shampoo. Yeah, here's a good shampoo. It wouldn't be in my store if it wasn't a good shampoo. And you can get it out of the store that way. Now, some products, obviously, you just have to get rid of. I mean, there's not too often that somebody comes in and asks for wild cherry bark root. And that may be a product that may be a special order for you. And you don't have to carry 4 or 5 of them on your shelf. You can special order the product. If it's a food item, sample it out. And then again, after the 1 year, you get the product out of the store. So that's how we kind of get rid of slow-selling items. Ordering new products is, you can do a couple things. One is, we have a little rule in our store. If the new product is going to come in, we got to get an old product out. That means it forces me, I've got a sales rep that comes in, show me some product, and I said, yes, I'm going to try these 2 new products. As soon as these, I go out of my store and say, what are 2 products that I'm going to take off my shelf that aren't pulling their full share of the weight anymore? And I might take a book off the shelf and give it to a good customer. I might take a body cream and give it to a good customer, or give it to an employee, or take something home. It forces me to look at my store and say, yes, I know this product. Look at the date. Yeah, it's like 9 months, 10 months. It's been here. Hasn't paid its fair share of the rent for 9 months now. I'm not going to kid myself any longer and get it out of the store. When I'm ordering new products, I ask myself these 4 questions. 1, have I had a call for the product? Would I use it myself? Do I have a customer I know who will use it? Am I willing to advertise and promote it? Now, if you can answer yes to any one of these 4 questions, then buy the product. But too many times, I mean, a rep comes in from a vitamin company and shows 8 new vitamin combinations, that new aloe vera, ginseng, spirulina combination that's going to, make you look younger and improve your sex life and everything. And you figure, I can't go wrong. And 90 days later, the 3 are still sitting on the shelf because you said, yeah, give me 3, 3, 3. I'll try it and put them on the shelf. So you start asking yourself these questions, and if I haven't had a call for it and I wouldn't use it myself, I don't have any customers I know will use it, and I'm not willing to promote or advertise it, get a clue. It's going to sit there and it's not going to sell. Some things that we've been doing is realizing that on a retailer, from a retailer standpoint, you're really in the driver's seat. A lot of us don't realize that, is that you're in the driver's seat and it's your store and you can pretty much sell anything you want to your customers. So when someone comes into our store, the bottom one first, like a consignment arrangement, someone comes with a brand new line of stuff. Hey, I've got these new water filters. They're selling like crazy all over the place. They'll always mention your competition. They'll say they put 12 or 15 in there and they're selling very well, and they really haven't made a sale yet, but they just got to tell you that to intimidate you. So they'll go in and do that, and I'll say, hey, fine. If they're selling that well, put them on consignment. Come back in 30 days. And if they're selling, then I'll put the product in stock. If they say, oh, no, we don't do consignment, then I'll say, there's the door. If you're not willing to assume part of the risk for marketing this product, then there's the door. But if you are willing to assume part of the risk, then we could have a great relationship here. We could sell your product and sell it for years and years on. The second thing is that we found that in vitamins, all these vitamin companies have many, many new products they're coming out with. I can't put them all in. I don't know which ones are going to sell. We carried 7 major brands of vitamins. I went to all 7 companies and I said, look, if a product isn't selling for me, it's not selling for you, right? Right. Then what I'd like to do is we date all of our products. And in 90 days, if there's a product in my store that's not selling, I'd like to be able to exchange it for another product that might sell. I'm not asking for a refund. I'm not asking for my money back. I'd like to just exchange it for something else that may sell. Now, out of the 5 vitamin companies, 3 said yes to this, so 4 said yes and 3 said no. Now, you can guess what 4 vitamin companies have the biggest percentage of square footage in my store, which 4 vitamin companies I'm selling more vitamins than ever on, because the sales reps, I've got the sales reps trained now myself. They come in and go over and they say, oh, here's one that's over 90 days. I'll take these 3 out for you because they're not selling, and we suggest you try these 3 new ones. Now, some companies will do that, some won't. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go to a distributor and ask for this. I mean, you don't expect to go to a distributor and ask the distributor to do this. I'm saying companies you order direct from, like a vitamin company or a cosmetic company, some manufacturer lines you're going direct. Because the distributor is not set up to do this kind of stuff. I mean, they are dealing with thousands and thousands of products, and their distribution channels is way too much to expect them to do this exchanging products. But you have a lot of companies you deal direct with, and the companies we dealt direct, that's how we had this system in place, and it worked very, very well for us. Remember, you're in the driver's seat. Now, to answer your question here, on specials and deal buying. The secret to making money in this industry is to concentrate on turns, not discounts. And that's one of the biggest errors that many of us make. We don't realize that we don't make a dime when we buy a product. I come to these shows and I hear people bragging about, oh, I bought this and it was, 50 less 10, less 15, and I've just got such a great, I'm going to make so much money on this. You don't make any money until you sell the product. And you've got to sell all of the product. Especially people that just get into produce don't realize, oh, it's not bad. I bought a case of 24 heads of lettuce and I sold all but 5. Hey, your profit was in the last 5. The 5 that you threw away was your only source of profit. And since you didn't sell those, you didn't make any money on that, even though it seemed like you sold 19 heads of lettuce. So what we wind up doing on specials and deal buying is this. Generally, we only order up to a 30-day supply. Instead of doing our order a cycle of like once a 5-day supply or a 9-day supply of a product, we will order up to a 30-day supply if we can get it on deal. Watch getting caught up in the show buying spirit. You come to shows like this, order 1 case, get 50% off. Order 2 cases, get 60% off. Order 10 cases, you get 65% off. I'll stop them right there and say, hey, how many cases do I have to order to get it for free? And then just send it. Now, there comes a point where you get so much product in, and the discount gets so high, you think you're going to make all this money. And we're walking into stores, and I see case stacks. There are still case stacks in some of these stores of buy 1 C, get 1 C free wraps that were discontinued 4 years ago. Because the guy, I got a great deal on these, One thing you can do is spread out show deliveries. You can request it. By going to a booth and the guy says, look, if you buy 10 cases of oil, we'll give you 30% off. Hey, that's a good deal. I sell a lot of oil. Well, how about taking 50 cases? Yeah, I will. I'd like 10 cases in January, 10 cases in February, 10 March, 10 June, 10 cases. Deliver them that way and bill them that way. And sometimes say, okay, fine, we'll take the order. Other times say, oh, no, it's got to be all at one time. Great, then I'll take 10 cases. Thank you. And as I walk away, the manager will grab me. Wait a minute, we can work out. That's just paperwork. We can handle it. It's just paperwork. We'll handle the paperwork. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. So you're in the driver's seat. You can ask for that kind of, because if you sell something like, oil every month, then you can get that show deal spread out. Some stores will, if they have a very big back room and they've got their inventory turns up to 12, 13, 14 times and they're doing well, you can pick some specific products and go ahead and maybe buy a 60-day supply of them or a little bit higher supply of a particular item that you're going to promo and sell and get out the door. But we have an overhead that's going to show you that it's much more important to concentrate on turns because you're going to make a lot more money doing it that way. Another problem we can get into is minimum orders. Try not to break an inventory control rule. Some of us, just to make up a minimum order, will wind up ordering product we don't need. There are some companies that, especially like in vitamins, that require us to order in 3s. And I've gone to the companies and say, look, if I got a customer that's special ordered 1 product, I'd like to get it for them. You're saying I have to order 3, keep 2 on the shelf, and throw them away in 2 years or a year. I can't do that. So I either get 1 of yours or I'll sell them on another brand. And they'll say, you can only order in 3s. Then I won't buy it. The companies that make me order in 3s have the smallest amount of footage in my store because they're trying to tell me what I should sell. I don't know what I should sell. My customers know what I should sell. What they want, that's what I want to give them. Now, for some things, I can order 3s. I can order 6s because my volume is there. But certain things, in vitamins, I want to be able to order 1 and 2 because it's going to force me to keep product on my shelf that will not sell. This concludes the program on side 3. Please turn the tape over to continue on tape number 4.